A presidential ordinance modifies the 2019 finance law in Cameroon, reducing the state budget by over 5 billion CFA francs, a move triggered by the ravaging impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on revenue mobilization. Government gives the education community a pat on the back for the hitch-free and effective resumption of classes nationwide despite the COVID-19 scare. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take its toll on refugee communities in Cameroon, the UNHCR continues to request for additional funds to come to the rescue of refugee families in urban areas in Cameroon. Those are our top stories. Hello, welcome to the program. I am Ben Meno Pufong, and this is the 7:30 News. First, let's have this message from the head of state to you.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Welcome back. The state budget for Cameroon has shrinked, dropping from 4,951.7 billion to 4,409 billion CFA francs. The drop that represents an absolute value of 542.6 billion CFA francs is contained in a presidential ordinance signed June 3, 2020, which modifies certain dispositions of the 2019 finance law. And it comes as a result of a drop in revenue mobilization owing to the ravages of the coronavirus pandemic. Clarice Array-Takang explains.
The reviewed budget is more than 540 billion CFA francs less than that adopted in December 2019. 4,409 billion CFA francs is what the government will be expecting to attain socio-economic and financial objectives in 2020, 11% lower. Recession stemming from the coronavirus pandemic has led to domestic revenue losses estimated at 775 billion CFA francs, according to officials from the Ministry of Finance. The ordinance by the head of state modifying the 2020 state budget puts the fight against COVID-19 at the heart of government expenses through the creation of a special fund set at a threshold of 180 billion CFA francs. It targets, amongst others, sanitary expenses related to the tracing of COVID-19 cases, their care, vulnerable persons affected by the public health crisis, such as those living below the poverty level, and street children, as well as research funding and aid to enterprises whose activities are in the red due to the coronavirus. Meanwhile, sectors which the state was counting on to secure cash for the public treasury have witnessed a downturn. Oil and fiscal revenue have thus witnessed a drop in their projections for 2020, while the state is looking forward to more loans and grants from multilateral and bilateral sources, but equally budgetary assistance. For their part, importers bringing into the country materials needed to fight against COVID-19 will enjoy exemptions in taxes and custom duties. Furthermore, interest on late payments have been suspended. Following the presidential ordinance, 7 sections of the 2020 finance law were doubled up, while 10 sections were modified and completed.
The Prime Minister, head of government, has lauded the ministries in charge of the education sector in Cameroon for the measures put in place to protect students and teachers as they return to school. Joseph John Gute was speaking today in Yaoundé at the start of the weekly interministerial meeting to monitor government's riposte against the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting, which held via video conferencing, also reviewed the medical follow-up of the COVID-19 patients in Cameroon, as well as the repatriation of Cameroonians blocked in foreign countries. Christian Che Atam reports from the Star Building.
Coming 4 days after the resumption of schools and universities, this Thursday's interministerial meeting assessed the first few days of the resumption, a process which Prime Minister Joseph John Gute saluted as effective and successful in all 10 regions of the country. The head of government congratulated the ministers in charge of the different levels of education. He said the measures put in place to protect teachers and learners and to ensure a smooth return have been successful. Different ministers in charge of education say the turnout of students has especially been encouraging, and classes kicked off immediately as they aim to make maximum use of the 8 weeks of studies. They say students and teachers have been adapting to the protection measures put in place. The interministerial meeting also zoomed in on the medical follow-up of COVID-19 patients in Cameroon. At a time when the number of cases has crossed the 6,000 mark, the Prime Minister and members of Cabinet examined strategies to make the handling of patients more effective, both in urban and rural areas. The governor of the Central Region, Nasiri Paul Biya, presented the facilities hosting COVID-19 patients in his region and the way the centers are managed. The process to repatriate Cameroonians blocked in foreign countries since the month of March, when borders were closed, also came up during the meeting. The Prime Minister stressed that it is an important operation which affects Cameroon's reputation on the international scene and must be treated with the utmost urgency. At the end of the meeting, the Prime Minister instructed the ministers concerned with education to remain vigilant and ensure that classes continue in the strict respect of protection measures against COVID-19. Joseph John Gute called on the Minister of Health to be strict in the follow-up of COVID-19 patients, both in urban and rural areas. He equally instructed the Minister of External Relations to throw his full weight behind the repatriation process of Cameroonians still blocked in foreign countries.
Students preparing for the Certificat d'Aptitude Professionnelle CAP examination and their peers of the GCE technical examination resumed classes today to find business very unusual, as they were treated to more space than they were accustomed to prior to the coronavirus outbreak. Physical distancing exigencies being the order of the day. They were also marveled by the drop in student-teacher ratio, all of which seek to minimize the risk of contamination by the virus. Though the students were beaming with joy and enthusiasm for having returned to school, the COVID-19 scare was very evident on some of them, as they could be seen religiously observing the barrier measures, much to the appreciation of the school administration. Cynthia Saptala captured those moments for the 7:30 News.
It was the first workshop in metalwork for fourth-year students at the Government Technical College, Setik Ngwakele in Yaoundé. After 2 months at home, the first hours for examination classes were used for the revision of lessons and tests. The respect of barrier measures for those beginning this Thursday implied the obligatory temperature check at the entrance, the washing of hands, and face mask for all.
The first measure we took before the resumption of classes was the disinfection of the whole campus. We have organized our classes so that we must have only one student on the bench. For the teachers also, we have provided them the masks and hand sanitizers.
In the different workshops, such as this, specialized in car body work, 5 students were allowed for the lesson in manufacturing techniques. In other schools, social distancing meant reducing the student-to-teacher ratio.
If we take the example of computer lab, it means that each student will be seated on his computer.
In the workshop, we'll make sure we call on the teachers concerned to take one student at a time.
COVID-19 has compelled establishments to restructure. At the Government Bilingual Technical High School Yaoundé, it's 24 per class from Thursdays to Saturdays for those in Premier from 4 and from 5, in order to respect the 1 meter distance, even though that might have been hard for some on this first day.
As the CAP and the GCE technical students resume lectures, their teachers too have taken the commitment to do all in their might to have them properly armed for their certificate examinations. That's how they are laying emphasis on general revision and the provision of model answers to past questions of their respective examinations. Romeo Kenye now paints the ambience that prevailed in some of these classes in Yaoundé today.
A special assembly of the staff with students in classrooms is what we witnessed this Thursday morning at Collège Jean Tabi. It is resumption day for troisième and première classes. Before accessing the school compound, everyone must bow to the compulsory sanitary measures put in place.
They have to disinfect their feet, their shoes first, before coming to the classroom. And even before coming inside the campus here, you have seen some water taps outside there where they have to wash their hands. So we have signs that have been put on the floor, and they have to follow those signs. We lay emphasis on revisions. You know, first, a day like this, we try to ask students what their difficulties are.
With a modification of the pedagogic approach, learners have no other choice now than follow the train.
I'll be revising and maybe ask some help to the teachers.
At Government Bilingual High School Emana, the Form 5 students, candidates for the GC ordinary level, massively answered present.
The resumption is very, very effective with 24 students per class. We have instructed the teachers to use the integrated approach where they have to do some sort of revision, integrating it with some teaching.
With all examination classes now undertaking effective lessons, hopes arrive that at the end of the close to 2-month studies, they will be capable to produce excellent results.
A peculiarity of this special back to school in Cameroon this June is the drastic drop in the number of students authorized to sit in one lecture room at a time. Not more than 25 students and pupils are allowed to sit in one classroom, a measure that gives credence to the exigency of physical distancing. As Alice Mbe now reports, most of the teachers have acclaimed of this measure as one that confers pleasure and interest in the art of teaching. Alice?
At Collège Avantis in Yaoundé, only 25 students could be seen in each class. The teachers say dispatching lessons has become easier and the follow-up of students more efficient because of the few number in class.
The number is reduced and the interaction will be facilitated, and you can easily get what the student wants and they can easily get you to.
The case is not different at Lycée General Leclerc.
It's very easy to control the student and to control their exercises. So when they have problems, it's very easy to talk with each student. There is no noise. They are very attentive. I wish that for the next coming years, it's possible for us to have classes with few students like this, and many of them are afraid of contracting the disease. That's why they don't disturb. They stay quiet in class and they listen to teachers.
The same situation at the government bilingual primary school Bastos.
It is easier for me, very easy, as I am going individually. There are not many, and so they understand very well. As I can say, they understand very well. No noise making.
The new system of teaching less populated classes seems to be favorable to teachers, as they confess it makes learning more productive.
Schools have effectively resumed in Donga Mantung and Momo divisions of the Northwest region, with the different authorities of the institutions enjoined to watch out for the strict respect of the government measures against COVID-19. The senior divisional officer for Donga Mantung, Quentin Simon, and his counterpart of Momo, Sakwe Jervis Esape, visited primary and secondary schools in their respective areas of jurisdiction to take the temperature of the fresh start. Here is a joint report from Bamenda with Mercy Kusi and Sylvie Bantar.
The Mbengwi subdivision, reputed for its outstanding academic establishments, has seen its educational fortunes drained by the socio-political unrest and further stifled by the coronavirus. With this double challenge in mind, the divisional officer from Mbengwi, who inspected school resumption in 4 institutions, described the students and pupils as courageous. But he warned such courage amidst COVID-19 entails the strict respect of hand washing, wearing of protective masks, and physical distancing rules as prescribed by government.
It is not yet broken out here, but that doesn't mean that the people here are immune. So President Biya has sent these anti-COVID-19 items, which are destined for the 5 subdivisions that make up Dunga Mantung, and the administrative head here received them from the senior divisional officer, Simon Kwetido. Here, he drums the importance of staying free of the disease into the students. Dunga Mantung has been resisting the secessionist idea, and it is now expected to put up a more stronger fight against this public health crisis.
It has long been an integral part of the university formation process in Cameroon, but since the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, it has been kept on hold, much to the dismay of the students and other young trainees. We are talking there about internship programs that used to be organized for students for purposes of practical and participatory knowledge and skill acquisition. The logical question that follows here is, how will the students be evaluated without this crucial component of their formation? Luma Slim Davis attends an answer in the following report.
The adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic is felt over several sectors in daily life. The higher education sector is amongst those with programs disrupted, and consequently the need for a readjustment. At the Matamfeng Higher Institute, the authorities are concerned with the internship of students.
The internship is very essential, and then for the moment we are advising students to see in which case they can reprogram their internship in the companies so that at the end of the year, they will defend their internship report. What we are doing now is just to encourage them to go back to the company that they have to do their internship, and for the moment, most of students are following all what we are asking them to do.
With the program for internship already derailed, it now requires a joint effort of students and school authorities to organize a catch-up.
We received 2 general managers, and we were discussing about how to reprogram the internship of our students. It's normally 2 months, but we can authorize even students to do it in 1 month. According to this coronavirus. It's not easy for the moment. We have to put all our means, we have to do everything possible, because 2020 is a special academic year.
However, the most important thing is for the concerned students to undergo their internship and be evaluated at the end of it all.
Vocational training institutions in Cameroon equally flung their doors wide open for the continuation of the 2019-2020 school year. That's how the minister in charge of this domain of education in Cameroon went visiting some vocational training centers in Yaoundé to appraise both the degree of resumption of business and how the anti-COVID barrier measures are playing out in them. As Joyce Tata reports, Isachiroma Bakari went along with some sanitary kits to beef up the anti-COVID arsenal that he met on the ground.
call following the SWA subdivision Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari's first stop. He meets an ongoing class at SA SM d'application de SWA on how to mount a car engine at the mechanical department. School resumption has been effective here since June 1, with barrier measures were respected.
Before school resumption, we disinfected the classrooms and arranged the seats respecting 1 meter distance. This gift comes at the right time because irrespective of our little preparation, we were lacking some of these items.
It is a similar scenario at Power Batch Education situated at Quartier Fouda in Yaoundé. The minister is impressed with the proper respect of sanitary rules by students and the personnel at work.
Without trade, without skill, how on earth would we like our compatriot to be involved in the process of developing our nation? I have been very much delighted. We check to notice that those instructions which are compulsory are being implemented. No stone was left unturned by those who are presiding over the management of the centers.
Employment and vocational training bus donated some material in each professional center visited for a continuous respect of government and WHO's prescribed measures to stem the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Let's now make a stopover at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center in Mesa here in Yaoundé, where our reporter Gilbert Ongene is posted, and he has the latest information as concerns the fight against the pandemic in Cameroon today. Hello, Gilbert. Tell me, what is new from your end, and where are we with this fight?
Hello, Ben Menopufong. Welcome to the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. The news out there is that we have 248 new cases of contamination to the coronavirus in Cameroon today, out of the 987 persons who were screened for the coronavirus, giving a percentage of slightly over 24% of those who were tested. And this gives a total of 7,037 cases of contamination across the country since the outbreak of this virus. We have 22 recoveries today, bringing the total to 4,575 since the outbreak of this coronavirus in the country. 2 deaths recorded, bringing the total to 205 deaths across the national territory since the outbreak. And we must say that since the outbreak of the coronavirus, the Ministry of Public Health has been adapting its strategy depending on the evolution of the pandemic. This is how the ministry acquired 100,000 new dialysis tests or diagnosis tests, which were acquired in addition to the 45,000 molecular tests which were already in existence in the country. Today, the strategy that the ministry is adopting and using is a 3T, that is track, test, and treat. That is what they are using. They track down the people wherever they are in the community. They get tested. Those who are positive are isolated and treated for the disease. And the objective being to test 50,000 Cameroonians by 15th of June 2020. I must say here that we are already past the 30,000 mark of people who have been tested in Cameroon. Our guest tonight is Simon Thierry Ezugu, who is a psychologist. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Now, tell us, we are talking about stigmatization today.
Yes.
Globally, how do you define stigmatization?
In fact, globally, stigmatization is an act of treating someone who is a COVID-19 positive unfairly publicly. It's also an action or a word that turns somebody into the lonely or negative brand in the society.
Now, stigmatization could have some consequences on patients. What could this be?
Yes, you have many consequences which are here. Some of the effect of stigmatization on the patient is feeling unknown, shame, and hopeless. Also, we see also psychological distress that this person feel when he was stigmatized. Some of them, they find it difficult to get opportunity to get a job. They find it difficult even to rely with their fellow family members. They are being neglected, they are being abandoned on their own because of the positive COVID-19 on their body.
Now, there's a story that is told of a landlord who sent away his tenant because he was tested positive of the coronavirus. What could be the advice that you have for Cameroonians who still don't understand that it is not necessary to stigmatize people who are tested positive with the coronavirus?
First of all, I want to say I have a situation of such kind yesterday with my patient online that told me she fell into depression because the husband, after the announcement of the test that she is positive, the husband and the family members abandoned her and she was left alone for 3 days and fell into a deep depression. So God helped me to do all I can do as a psychologist to help this woman to come back to herself. So what I want to say to the population is this: the fact that the tests have been reviewed that the person is positive doesn't mean that it's dead. It is like all other sickness, other flus, and we have many of them that have been registered cured. So when somebody is being tested positive COVID-19, this person needs assistance. We need to at least show the person love, as we do as psychologists, show that we are concerned and let the person know that it's not the end. Everything that have a beginning have an end. Also, coronavirus, also we have an end. So people should understand you can live and follow up all the measures that government have put in place, and at the end, you may find yourself being cured.
Thank you very much indeed, Simon Thierry Ezogo, who is a psychologist. Ben Menopufong, the take-home message, you know it, 248 new cases of positive cases to the coronavirus out of the 987 who were screened today in Cameroon, 22 recoveries and 2 deaths. That is it. People must remain safe, that stay at home and respect the barrier measures. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Gilbert Ongene, for those updates, and we look forward to having you again tomorrow. Musicians and performers across Africa, like Cameroon's Daphne and Nigeria's Aramide, are currently performing a virtual concert against COVID-19, streaming live on Facebook. The concert, which ends tomorrow, is part of the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement for Africa to come together in the fight against COVID-19, as they believe music can comfort the continent through such challenging times. Yoti Kaleli Songe watched part of the concert on Facebook and put together the following story.
Melodies from the heart to African souls following the live streaming on Facebook.
We miss performing for you. We miss seeing you. We miss the love.
They've missed performing on stage before an audience, but they're not rusty. The keys are on point and the vocals perfect. Nigeria's Aramide giving hope to the Facebook audience, and Cameroon's very own Daphne telling Africans not to worry about COVID-19. Take it easy. This is Africa Together Against COVID-19, a movement initiated by the International Red Cross community. The virtual concert will run until June 6 to remind Africans that they are stronger together and can stand tall now and even after the coronavirus pandemic.
And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon radio television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. The African Peace Support Trainers Association, APSTA, with the Permanent Secretariat in Cameroon, has brought together through our teleconference women who have served in international peacekeeping operations to share their experiences and chart the way forward for a better women representation in the United Nations peace support missions. The teleconference took place today with the participation of female military, police, and penitentiary administration officials connected from Africa and America under the theme Women in Peacekeeping Leadership, Lessons and Experiences. And it was coordinated by ABSTA's Executive Secretary, Cecile Oyuno. We have details with Kilian Dandifan.
Coordinated by its Cameroonian-born Executive Secretary.
May 29 is instituted by the United Nations as the Peacekeeping Day. This year the theme is Women in Peacekeeping Leadership, Lessons and Experiences. That is why we have brought to the conference women from the military, police and the penitentiary administration who have carried out peacekeeping operations.
The participants were from Nigeria, Mali, Ghana, Kenya in Africa, and Peru in South America. They all identified cultural, psychological, sociological, and training barriers as factors which account for low representation of women in peacekeeping operations, despite UN Security Council Resolution 1325 that makes it mandatory.
Most women serving in the military are not in combat positions. So you realize that there aren't enough women who will be on the decision-making table when issues of women are talked about.
Recommendations to break the barriers were equally discussed.
I have to see more women going through training, applying for senior positions.
Locality of Ngahan, situated between Tubero and Ngaoundere in the Adamawa region. The accident occurred this afternoon, and eyewitness accounts say it happened when a passenger vehicle collided head-on with a truck moving in the opposite direction. Nuweya Ben Mudika reports from CRTV Adamawa.
The Tubero end of the Ngaoundere-Mondu-Njamena road axis, this red car was already in Gangha, a few kilometers to the end of their journey in Ngaoundere. Witnesses say there was a slight rain.
Adults who died on the spot and 3 young children. And to call on the driver. Period now, period made of COVID.
On the spot, including the driver and 2 children. The second child of one victim died in hospital. Since not all the victims had been identified, the governor recommended caution and rigor so that the corpses go only to the rightful families.
The newly appointed officials of the National Veterinary Laboratory, LANAVET, have been commissioned into their office with a challenge for them to use their rich experience and make the institution stand out as leader in the promotion of animal health in the Central African sub-region. LANAVET Board Chair Musa Yaya and Director General were installed today by the Minister of Livestock, Dr. Tiger, who also called on them to boost the production of vaccines for the protection of animals against pests. We have details with Tony Nanyongo from CRTV North.
Reminding them of the mission of the National Veterinary Laboratory, LANAVET, the Minister of Livestock, Dr. Tiger, underlined that the experiences of the board chair, Musa Yaya, and Director General Abel Wad should contribute to the growth of the institution that is involved in the production and sale of vaccines and medicines. Recommending a synergy of actions to boost production, Minister Tiger also stressed on the necessity to diversify the stock of vaccines. Conscious of the challenges ahead, the newly installed officials expressed their determination to work together with researchers for the promotion of animal health in Cameroon and the sub-region.
The talent is numerous, among which I would like to engage myself in and raise the status of the LANAVET above the national, the international level. And I'm very grateful to the DG, the outgoing DG, who is my boss, who trained me and gave me all the facilities for me to grow up to this knowledge stage.
Recalling LANAVET's contributions in animal disease control in the country, the officials all agreed that constant research, the follow-up of projects and efficient budget management will go a long way to make them more credible. The installation, in strict respect of anti-COVID-19 measures, was preceded by an extraordinary board meeting that saw the presence of the Minister of Livestock.
Some 11,000 refugee families are currently coping with the harsh realities of the COVID-19 pandemic, with emergency response grossly insufficient to meet the needs of the moment. This information was made public in Yaoundé today by the Senior Operations Coordinator of the UNHCR in Cameroon, Jean Bosco Rochatse, at a press briefing. Mr. Rochatse also announced that the UNHCR and her partners are currently scouting for some 129 million CFA francs out of the 11.5 billion CFA francs they were expecting to put together to face up to the COVID-19 pandemic in refugee camps in urban centers in Cameroon. Details of the press event with Gerald Nyanji Eyambe.
The situation of refugees in Cameroon remains preoccupying in the face of COVID-19.
To date, we have received only 2,170,000. But the proposal we submitted in the beginning of the pandemic was about $23 million. So far we have mobilized only 9% of the resources required.
It is in this light that the United Nations High Commission for Refugees has come up with a neat assessment which falls within the framework of the country's response plan. Several strategies have been put in place to complement government efforts in the fight against COVID-19 in the refugee camps.
Putting in place new taps, but like in Menawao refugee camp, which is hosting about 67,000 Nigerian refugees, we were able to dig a new borehole to put in place, sometimes with tents, quarantine centers. And now, with semi-durable materials, we are building isolation centers.
In spite of such inputs, much is expected to be done to address the trends. If not, the already bad situation may get worse.
Meantime, over 4,000 face masks have been distributed to the students, teachers and administrative staff of the Higher Technical Teacher Training College in Kumba to better face up to the COVID-19 spread. The items are produced by the Department of Social Economy and Management of the University of Buea, whose department's head, Professor Amungwa Thanesius, says it is their own contribution to the ongoing fight against the pandemic. Tanjan Levis Agbo reports from Buea.
In the bid to fight the coronavirus and keep it far from the school milieu, the Department of Social Economy and Family of the Higher Technical Teachers Training College, Kumba, of the University of Buea, produced and distributed over 4,000 face masks to the university community and other administrative and municipal authorities in Kumba. The head of department, Professor Amungwa Thanesius, said the production of the quality face masks was a way of alleviating the health crisis. A solar hand washing machine has been invented by the Department of Maintenance Service of the HTTTC Kumba to enable students wash their hands on campus. The equipment comprised of 4 washing pots with taps which operates untouched with solar energy. While receiving the anti-COVID-19 kits, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Buea, Professor Ngomo Horace Manga, lauded the initiative of the project manager, Dr. Asoba Gillian, and equally reminded the students that the only way to stop the spread of COVID-19 is to strictly respect all barrier measures.
The presidential gift for the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic has also reached the people of Ngi subdivision in the Northwest region. The gifts were handed over to the people by the sub-divisional officer Nyaso Mohammed, who used the opportunity to call on those who are still fighting in the bushes to come out and join the rest of the community in developing their area. We have details with Karin Tosam from CRTV Northwest.
They defied the unsafe terrain, braved the odds and turned out to receive their share of President Biya's anti-COVID-19 kits. The mayor of Andek used the occasion to appeal to separatist fighters to give their council the opportunity to proceed with their developmental projects.
We have so much money given by the state to reconstruct Andek, to fix our roads, to bring electricity, to build schools. We are building health centers. We are praying that they should allow us time to work.
They should lay down their arms. Come, I will take them to the Center for Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration, and they will become safe and they will live as normal Cameroonians.
The twin ceremony also witnessed the distribution of basic food items to the population from the MP of Momo West constituency, Honorable Awuta Philip.
Orange Cameroon has launched a distance learning platform in partnership with Cameroon's Ministry of Secondary Education. The Director General of Orange Cameroon, during the launch in Yaoundé, said it was his own organization's way of promoting education in the country. Mr. Frederic Deboer also promised that in the near future, Orange Cameroon will build schools and other social facilities to ease life for Cameroonians. We have details with Lekiatu Gertrude at Songazi from CRTV Center.
Orange Cameroon, which is one of the leading companies in the provision of quality mobile and internet services, has signed some partnership agreements with the government. The presence of the managing director, Frederic Deboer, at the launch of the distance learning platform in the Ministry of Secondary Education was to assure government of the company's readiness to support education.
We are bilingual. We have all the contents, both in French and English, and we can, I think, bring all this to Cameroon. We are very proud to be part. Orange Foundation is working on education now from 10 years.
In the days ahead, Orange Foundation intends to build more secondary schools, finance the cleaning of educational establishments, and increase internet connectivity to secondary school students.
We want to accompany and to support Ministry of Secondary Education, but not only for this time of COVID. So we are building a long-term partnership with it, helping by giving connectivity in this time, helping as well by financing the cleaning of some schools. Because the issue with COVID is not only distanciation, but it's as well that the school will be cleaned regularly, that we'll have more hygiene within with the school. So we are developing with the government a program to have hygiene. We are as well putting Orange Foundation with building some schools, with building the place to clean the children within the schools, and we are also bringing Orange Group was partnership in terms of content and education.
With this move, therefore, Orange Cameroon believes that more students will have access to quality education during and after the COVID-19 pandemic.
And that's where we'll leave it for tonight and for the week. I'll be back again on Monday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing